20 celebs who were fired due to alleged racism.
I thought the was white!
You'd never recognize today on Twitter. Get ready to have your world rocked, iconic inside viewers. We're about to unveil the jaw-dropping stories of 20 celebrities who were pushed out of the limelight due to shocking allegations of racism. These aren't just falls from grace, they're free falls. Strap in for a roller coaster of fame, scandal, and the stark truth about the high price of public mistakes. The clock is ticking. Let's dive into the dramatic downfalls that changed these stars forever. Number 1. Don Imus. In April 2007, radio host Don Imus, known for his controversial humor, faced a severe backlash after he referred to the Rutgers University women's basketball team as nappy-headed hoes. This comment came shortly after the team had competed in the NCAA championship, sparking a national uproar. Imus had a history of crude and racially charged humor that had long been tolerated in the shock-jock landscape. The fallout was swift and severe. CBS Radio and MSNBC, both platforms that aired his show, terminated their contracts with him amid mounting protests from civil rights leaders and public outrage. CBS President Leslie Moonves stated, "There has been much discussion of the effect language like this has on our young people, particularly young women of color. Activists like Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson called for accountability, emphasizing that such language should not be tolerated on public airwaves." Imus attempted to salvage his reputation by apologizing publicly and expressing regret for his comments. In a later interview, he reflected on the incident as a significant regret, stating, "I knew better. It did change my feeling about making fun of some people who didn't deserve to be made fun of." Though he returned to radio less than a year later, his career never fully recovered from the stigma of racism associated with his name. Imus continued to work in media until his death in 2019, but the controversy left an indelible mark on his legacy. Number 2. Paula Deen.
Making their dang-a-langs just as fast as you can imagine being shook at you.
In June 2013, Southern chef Paula Deen, renowned for her warm hospitality, experienced a career-shattering fallout due to allegations of racism. The controversy began when Lisa Jackson, a former employee, sued Deen for racial discrimination and sexual harassment. During a deposition, Deen admitted to using the N-word and described her idea for a plantation-style wedding with black servers in subservient roles, saying, "I would like to have the waiters dressed like slaves." The ensuing media storm was rapid and merciless. Key sponsors like Walmart and Home Depot cut their ties with Deen, and the Food Network declared it would not renew her contract. Although the racial discrimination claims were later dismissed in court, Deen's reputation was beyond repair. Her once booming empire, which reportedly earned $17 million annually, saw a sharp decline as she lost about $12 million in cancelled deals. The public was divided. Some saw her as a victim of political correctness, while others criticized her for perpetuating racist stereotypes. Despite issuing an apology, Deen struggled to regain her place in the culinary world. The incident served as a warning about the vulnerability of celebrity status and the enduring effects of words and actions on public perception. Despite the initial backlash, Deen has since made efforts to rebuild her brand through social media and new ventures, showing resilience in the face of controversy. Number 3. Anthony Cumia. In July 2014, Anthony Cumia, co-host of the radio show Opie and Anthony, encountered a severe backlash following a series of inflammatory tweets after an incident in Times Square. The situation started when Cumia alleged that he was attacked by a black woman who was upset about him taking her photo. He then posted a series of racist comments on Twitter, calling her a savage and making broad generalizations about the black community, saying, "There's a deep-seated problem with violence in the black community," and claiming it was open season on white people. SiriusXM quickly ended Cumia's contract, stating his racially charged and hate-filled remarks were against the network's values. Patrick Riley, Senior Vice President of Communications at SiriusXM, described such behavior as abhorrent and not representative of the company. The public reaction was immediate and intense. There was widespread outrage on social media platforms, with many criticizing Cumia's comments as indicative of larger societal racial issues. While some fans defended him, arguing he was targeting an individual rather than the whole community, most saw his statements as perpetuating harmful stereotypes. After his dismissal, Cumia expressed shock on Twitter, saying he was fired for off-air comments and bemoaning political correctness. He wrote, "Sirius decided to cave and fire me. Welcome to Bizarro World." The controversy not only damaged his reputation but also marked a significant turning point in his career, leading to a reduced public profile and ongoing discussions about race and accountability in media discourse. Number 4. Roseanne Barr.
I thought the was white!
In May 2018, Roseanne Barr's career took a sharp nosedive after she posted a racist tweet comparing Valerie Jarrett, a former advisor to President Obama, to a product of the Muslim Brotherhood and Planet of the Apes. This inflammatory comment led to immediate backlash, resulting in ABC cancelling her successful reboot of Roseanne within hours. ABC Entertainment President Channing Dungey declared, "There is no excuse for the disrespectful and dismissive comments made by Roseanne Barr," underscoring the network's dedication to diversity and inclusion. The repercussions were immediate and harsh. Barr was dropped by her talent agency, ICM Partners, and faced widespread condemnation from Hollywood. Sarah Gilbert, her co-star, labeled Barr's comments as abhorrent, clarifying they did not represent the views of the cast or crew. In an interview with Sean Hannity, Barr expressed remorse for her word choice, but insisted her tweet was not meant to be racist. "It cost me everything," she said, also asserting, "I'm not a bigot," and claiming she was unaware of Jarrett's race when making the comparison. The public response was largely critical, with many supporting ABC's decision to cut ties with Barr. The incident not only damaged her reputation, but also initiated discussions about racism in Hollywood and the impact of social media conduct. Despite Barr's attempts to mend her image through apologies, her career had been irreversibly altered. Number 5. Megyn Kelly. In late October 2018, Megyn Kelly's time at NBC came to a sudden end, following her controversial comments about blackface costumes on Halloween. On her show, she questioned the issue with white people wearing blackface, saying, "But what is racist?" She also recalled a time when such costumes were acceptable, if character-based, which led to a significant backlash from both the public and her colleagues. Despite offering a tearful apology on air the following day, where she recognized the historical pain related to blackface and said, "I was wrong and I am sorry," the harm was already done. NBC News chairman Andy Lack criticized her comments, asserting that they had no place in their workplace. The network was under immense pressure to respond strongly, resulting in the cancellation of her show, Megyn Kelly Today, just days after the incident. The repercussions were immediate and harsh. Social media was filled with criticism, and other NBC hosts like Al Roker publicly demanded a more meaningful apology to people of color across the country. Roker stated, "This is a history going back to the 1830s, emphasizing the deep-seated issues surrounding racial insensitivity." Kelly's reputation took a major hit. Her move from Fox News to NBC had been challenging, and this incident reinforced perceptions of her as disconnected. Although she tried to mend her image through apologies and discussions on sensitivity, the controversy effectively ended her time at NBC, leaving her future uncertain as negotiations continued regarding her departure from the network. Do you think Megyn Kelly's apology was enough to make up for her comments? Comment yes or no and share your thoughts. Number 6. Don Cherry. On November 9, 2019, Don Cherry, a well-known yet contentious figure in Canadian hockey broadcasting, experienced a significant downfall after making derogatory comments during his Coach's Corner segment. Cherry criticized immigrants for not wearing poppy pins to honor fallen soldiers, saying, "You people love our milk and honey. At least you could pay a couple bucks for a poppy." This statement, seen as racially charged, led to a massive backlash from both the public and media. Cherry had a history of controversial statements, often testing the limits of acceptable discourse. However, this incident became the breaking point. Sportsnet, his employer for over 38 years, quickly terminated his contract the next day. In a statement, Sportsnet president Bart Yabsley said Cherry's comments do not represent our values, and underscored the network's dedication to inclusivity. The repercussions were immediate and severe. Many colleagues, including longtime co-host Ron MacLean, publicly denounced Cherry's remarks as hurtful and discriminatory, with MacLean admitting he should have challenged Cherry in real time. Public opinion was sharply divided. While some supported Cherry's patriotism, others viewed his comments as divisive and unacceptable. In the aftermath, Cherry stood by his words, refusing to apologize and expressing disdain for societal sensitivity. "I refuse to turn into a tamed robot." His dismissal marked a significant moment in Canadian sports culture, reflecting broader societal debates about race, immigration, and the responsibilities of public figures. Number 7. Stassi Schroeder. In June 2020, Vanderpump Rules stars Stassi Schroeder and Kristen Doute encountered severe backlash that led to their dismissal from the show due to accusations of racism. The controversy began when former cast member Faith Stowers disclosed that Schroeder and Doot had falsely reported her to the police, alleging she was a criminal involved in drugging men. This action was seen as a clear abuse of their privilege, especially amidst the ongoing racial tensions in the United States. Stowers, who is black, characterized the incident as not only a betrayal, but also indicative of systemic racism within the reality TV industry. After her revelations during an Instagram live session, Bravo quickly fired both Schroeder and Dout. In a statement, Stowers expressed her sense of vindication. "I feel so vindicated. Studios and production are able to see blatant racism and make these positive changes. The repercussions were immediate and significant. The public response was largely critical, with many praising Bravo's decision as an essential step towards accountability." Industry colleagues shared similar views, highlighting the need for change in reality television. In response to the allegations, Schroeder and Dout both issued public apologies on social media, acknowledging their errors and expressing regret. However, their reputations suffered greatly. They faced not only professional consequences but also personal scrutiny as they tried to deal with the consequences of their actions in a society that is increasingly intolerant of racism. Number 8. Brett Caprioni and Max Boyens. In early 2020, the reality TV world was rocked when past racist tweets from Vanderpump Rules cast members Brett Caprioni and Max Boyens were rediscovered, sparking a major controversy. Both men were criticized for their offensive comments made in 2012, which included multiple uses of the N-word and derogatory remarks about Asians. Boyens notably tweeted, "It upsets me that the word is not allowed to be said unless you are black," while Caprioni also posted similarly inflammatory content. The repercussions were immediate. After public outrage and the resurfacing of these tweets, Bravo declared that both Caprioni and Boyens would not be part of future seasons of Vanderpump Rules. Lisa Vanderpump, the show's namesake, voiced her disapproval, saying, "I do not condone any of the heinous comments made in the past by Max and Brett," highlighting her dedication to diversity and intolerance for bigotry. In response to the situation, both men offered apologies. Boyens stated, "I'm an adult now, and I cringe even thinking that I said those things," while Caprioni recognized that their language was unacceptable both then and now. Despite their regret, their reputations were severely damaged. The media and public reaction was largely critical, with many demanding accountability in the entertainment industry for past racist actions. The incident served as a stark reminder of the enduring impact of words and actions, especially in an era increasingly focused on social justice and equality. Number 9. Taylor Selfridge. Taylor Selfridge's professional journey took a sharp downturn when old racist tweets of hers were uncovered, resulting in her dismissal from MTV's Teen Mom OG. On June 10, 2020, the network declared the end of their association with her after offensive messages from 2012 surfaced, containing remarks like, "We have to greet everyone at work, but sometimes I won't greet the black people because they scare me," and derogatory comments about Asians. MTV also pulled her baby special, Teen Mom OG at Home, Corey and Taylor's baby special, in a statement that pledged support for anti-racism and condemned systemic racism while expressing solidarity with those advocating for justice. The repercussions were immediate and harsh. Selfridge's reputation took a significant hit as the public and media responded with anger. Social media platforms were filled with criticism, questioning MTV's previous acceptance of her behavior and highlighting a wider industry confrontation with racism. Colleagues and fans expressed disappointment, stressing the necessity for accountability in reality television. In response to the backlash, Selfridge addressed the allegations on Instagram, saying she wanted to move on and continue to be the best version of myself. She admitted her past errors, stating, "My past does not define who I am today." Despite her efforts at damage control, the incident marked a significant turning point in her career, effectively ending her relationship with MTV and casting a long shadow over her future in entertainment. Number 10. Abby Lee Miller. In June 2020, Abby Lee Miller's career took a significant hit when she was accused of making racist comments to dancers on Dance Moms. The controversy began after Adriana Smith, mother of contestant Cameron, publicly shared Miller's alleged remarks, including a particularly offensive statement. "I know you grew up in the hood with only a box of 8 crayons, but I grew up in the country club with a box of 64. Don't be stupid." This disclosure led to outrage and additional accusations from other parents who felt their children were treated unfairly due to their race. Following these allegations, Lifetime cancelled Miller's upcoming spin-off show, Abby's Virtual Dance-Off, and cut all ties with her. signaling a significant change in public and network sentiment towards the reality star. Miller tried to address the fallout with an apology, saying, "I genuinely understand and deeply regret how my words have affected and hurt those around me in the past, particularly those in the black community." However, many felt her response was insincere. Smith criticized Miller for not reaching out personally, emphasizing that her words were insufficient without genuine action behind them. The media and public reaction was swift and unforgiving, leading to a tarnished reputation for Miller. Despite her attempts to repair her image by promising to educate herself and do better, the damage had been done. The incident highlighted the broader issues of racism within competitive environments and left an indelible mark on Miller's legacy. Number 11. Hartley Sawyer. In June 2020, Hartley Sawyer, an actor on The Flash, was suddenly dismissed from the show after a series of his past tweets were discovered, showing racist and misogynistic views. The controversy began when social media users, including actress Skye Jackson, posted screenshots of Sawyer's offensive remarks, which included jokes about racism and violence against women. One tweet read, "Out at dinner and just exposed myself as a racist again," while another said, "If I had a wife, I'd beat the hell out of her tonight, lol." In response to the backlash, the CW network and producers issued a statement confirming that Sawyer would not be returning for the 7th season, highlighting their dedication to fostering an inclusive environment. They stated, "We do not tolerate derogatory remarks that target any race, ethnicity, national origin, gender, or sexual orientation." Sawyer tried to address the fallout with an Instagram apology posted shortly before his firing. He expressed regret for his past words, acknowledging their harmful impact. "I'm not here to make excuses. My words matter, and they carry profound consequences." The reaction from the public and his colleagues was swift and severe. Co-star Grant Gustin expressed his shock and sadness over the tweets, emphasizing that words matter. Showrunner Eric Wallace described the tweets as indicative of a larger societal issue and pledged to foster a more inclusive workplace. Sawyer's termination significantly tarnished his reputation and career, marking a dramatic fall from grace for an actor who had gained recognition since joining The Flash in 2017. Was the CW's decision to fire Hartley Sawyer justified? Comment, 0 inches if you don't think so, or 9 inches if you think it was the right decision. Number 12. Lea Michele. Lea Michele's professional standing took a significant hit after accusations of racism and mistreatment emerged from her time on the set of Glee. The controversy began in June 2020, when former co-star Samantha Ware claimed that Michele made her life a living hell and recounted a specific incident where Michele allegedly threatened to shit in Ware's wig. This accusation came shortly after Michele expressed support for the Black Lives Matter movement on Twitter, leading to numerous responses from other cast members who supported Ware's claims, describing Michele's behavior as filled with microaggressions and insensitivity. The fallout was immediate. Major brands, including HelloFresh, cut ties with Michele, publicly stating they do not support racism. In her apology, Michele expressed regret for any pain caused but denied being racist, stating, "I have never judged others by their background or color of their skin," while acknowledging that her actions had hurt others. Public and media reactions were largely critical. Many colleagues and fans voiced their disappointment, with some former cast members openly discussing their negative experiences with her. The backlash led to a significant decline in Michele's reputation, as she was labeled difficult to work with and faced accusations of hypocrisy for her earlier activism. In an attempt to address the situation, Michele reflected on her past behavior in interviews, attributing it to a pressure of perfectionism, but did not fully confront the racism allegations. As her career teetered on the brink, Michele's journey became a cautionary tale about accountability and the impact of unchecked behavior in Hollywood. Number 13. Belle Gibson. Belle Gibson, once hailed as a wellness influencer, experienced a significant downfall after it was discovered that she had invented a story of battling terminal cancer to make a profit. She initially became famous through her app and cookbook, The Whole Pantry, claiming to have healed her cancer with alternative treatments and earning over $420,000 in revenue. However, in 2015, she admitted to Women's Weekly that her cancer narrative was completely fabricated, resulting in investigations and legal consequences. In 2017, the federal court fined Gibson $410,000 for misleading conduct, emphasizing her failure to donate promised funds to charities, especially the Schwartz family, who had a son with a similar illness. Justice Deborah Mortimer characterized Gibson's actions as unconscionable, stating that her deception took advantage of vulnerable individuals seeking hope in desperate situations. The scandal intensified when Gibson tried to blend into Melbourne's Ethiopian community under the alias Sobantu, claiming to have been adopted by the community. This led to accusations of racism, as many saw her actions as an appropriation of cultural identity. After backlash from both the community and media, she was ultimately exposed in 2021. Public and media reactions were largely negative, labeling her a fraud. A spokesperson for Cancer Council Victoria stated that her case sent a strong message against those who exploit vulnerable people. Despite the fallout, Gibson has remained largely silent on the allegations, opting to keep a low profile away from social media and public life. Number 14. Liam Neeson. In early 2019, Liam Neeson became the focus of controversy after sharing a disturbing anecdote from his past during a promotional interview for his film Cold Pursuit. He described how, after learning that a close friend had been raped by a black man, he wandered the streets with a weapon, seeking to confront and kill a black bastard. Neeson admitted, "I'm ashamed to say that, and I did it for maybe a week." His honesty led to immediate backlash, with critics labeling his actions as blatantly racist. Despite the controversy, Neeson's career did not suffer as severely as some expected. While he faced calls for boycotts and demands to reshoot scenes in upcoming films, many colleagues defended him, suggesting that his reaction was driven by a primal instinct to protect. However, the incident brought attention to deep-seated racial biases and raised questions about white privilege in Hollywood. The media frenzy grew, with figures like Ava DuVernay criticizing him for actions that would not be accepted if roles were reversed. Neeson later expressed regret over his past actions, insisting he was not racist but acknowledging the horror of his thoughts at that time. He stated, "Violence breeds violence. Bigotry breeds bigotry." While Neeson tried to mend his image through public apologies and discussions about racism, the incident served as a stark reminder of how quickly reputations can be tarnished in today's media landscape. Number 15. Chris Harrison. In early 2021, Chris Harrison, the longtime host of The Bachelor, experienced a significant downfall after defending contestant Rachel Kirkconnell in the face of allegations regarding her past racist actions. During a contentious interview with Rachel Lindsay, the franchise's first black bachelorette, Harrison showed empathy for Kirkconnell, who faced criticism for attending an antebellum-themed party in 2018 and engaging with racially insensitive social media content. Harrison questioned the timing of the backlash, asking, "Is it a good look in 2018, or is it not a good look in 2021?" This defense sparked outrage among fans and colleagues, with many accusing him of minimizing racism. Lindsay countered his remarks, stating, "It's not a good look ever," highlighting the severity of Kirkconnell's actions. The backlash led to Harrison stepping aside from his role in February 2021, with ABC announcing his permanent departure from the franchise shortly after. In a statement, he acknowledged his mistakes and expressed gratitude for his 2-decade tenure, saying, "I'm so grateful to Bachelor Nation for all of the memories we've made together." The repercussions were immediate. Harrison's reputation took a significant hit as public sentiment turned against him. After his exit, guest hosts filled his role while he reflected on the controversy. He later admitted to feeling sick to my stomach and losing sleep over the situation. Despite attempts to address the issue through interviews and apologies, the damage to his career was substantial, marking a significant shift in how reality television addresses race and accountability. Enjoying this video? Like and subscribe for more. Not feeling it? A like would still be appreciated, and your comments will help me do better next time. Number 16. Sharon Osbourne. In March 2021, Sharon Osbourne's time on The Talk ended abruptly after a contentious on-air discussion about race. The controversy began when Osbourne defended Piers Morgan's critical comments about Meghan Markle, who had accused the royal family of racism. During the exchange, co-host Cheryl Underwood confronted Osbourne, asking, "What has he uttered that's racist?" Osbourne's defensive reaction, in which she felt she was being put in the electric chair, heightened tensions and led to an internal investigation by CBS into her conduct. Soon after, allegations emerged that Osbourne had used racist and homophobic slurs against former co-hosts, including Julie Chen and Sarah Gilbert. These claims led CBS to suspend production of The Talk and investigate the workplace environment, which some staff members described as racially insensitive. Ultimately, CBS determined that Osbourne's behavior did not align with their values, resulting in her dismissal. The results of these events severely damaged Osbourne's reputation. She expressed regret over the situation, stating in a later interview, "They destroyed my credibility in America," and lamented that she might never work in the US again due to the stigma attached to the allegations. Despite her denials of racism and attempts to clarify her stance, public and media reactions were overwhelmingly critical, marking a significant shift in her career trajectory. In a candid moment, she reflected on her apology to Underwood, revealing her frustration. "I didn't want to because I felt I didn't do anything wrong." Number 17, Gina Carano. In February 2021, Gina Carano's professional journey with Disney's The Mandalorian took a sharp downturn when she was dismissed over a series of contentious social media posts. The tipping point arrived when Carano compared the treatment of contemporary Republicans to the Holocaust-era persecution of Jews. In a now-erased post, she said, "Jews were beaten in the streets, not by Nazi soldiers, but by their neighbors. How is that any different from hating someone for their political views?" This analogy ignited public outrage, prompting the trending hashtag #FireGinaCarano across social media platforms. Carano's past inflammatory comments, which included mocking mask mandates and questioning the legitimacy of the 2020 election, had already drawn criticism from fans and colleagues alike. Lucasfilm responded to her most recent comments by labeling them abhorrent and unacceptable, confirming that she would no longer be associated with the company. The repercussions were swift. Carano was dropped by her talent agency UTA and faced widespread condemnation from various media outlets and public figures. However, she insisted that her intent was misunderstood, stating in an interview with Ben Shapiro that she aimed to foster unity rather than division. "I have love for everyone. I'm not a hateful person," she claimed. The incident significantly affected Carano's reputation, dividing public opinion. While many denounced her statements as racist, others defended her against what they perceived as cancel culture. Despite her efforts to clarify her stance, the damage to her career had been done, marking a contentious episode in Hollywood's ongoing conversation on political expression and accountability. Number 18, Danny Masterson. Danny Masterson's professional decline was rapid and severe, largely due to multiple allegations of sexual assault that led to his conviction. However, the controversy surrounding his alleged use of racial slurs against one of his accusers further intensified public outrage and significantly influenced Netflix's choice to dismiss him from the ranch. In 2017, accusations began emerging against Masterson, with 3 women recounting distressing experiences of sexual assault. During this challenging period, one accuser claimed that Masterson had directed a racial slur at her, which increased the scrutiny around him. This event not only underscored the gravity of his alleged actions, but also introduced an element of racial insensitivity that deeply resonated with both the public and media. As the allegations grew, Netflix released a statement. "After discussing with the producers, we've decided to write Danny Masterson off of the ranch. Yesterday was his last day of work." Masterson expressed disappointment with this decision but maintained his innocence, labeling the allegations outrageous. The repercussions were substantial. Masterson's reputation as a popular television figure disappeared almost overnight. Colleagues and fans struggled with the reality of his actions, resulting in extensive condemnation on social media. Public figures voiced their disapproval, stressing that such behavior was unacceptable. Following his sentencing to 30 years to life in prison, Masterson has remained largely silent on these claims. The controversy surrounding him serves as a stark reminder of the intricacies surrounding fame, accountability, and the societal impact of racism intertwined with sexual violence. Number 19, Jeff Franklin. Jeff Franklin, the creator of Full House and its Netflix revival Fuller House, encountered a significant downfall in 2018 when he was dismissed due to allegations of inappropriate behavior, which included making racist and sexist comments. The accusations started to emerge after complaints from female staff members who described a hostile work environment. Reports suggested that Franklin had asked female writers to bring bikinis to a retreat and made derogatory remarks about women, including expressing a desire for them to have hysterectomies to prevent pregnancy. The situation intensified when Warner Brothers began investigating Franklin's conduct, uncovering a pattern of verbal abuse and discriminatory remarks. Celicia Playton, Warner Brothers' Vice President of Labor Relations, stated that concerns were raised regarding Franklin's handling of pregnancy-related requests for time off and the unequal treatment of male and female writers in the room. This led to Franklin's termination, severely damaging his reputation within the industry. Following these allegations, public and media reactions were immediate and harsh. Many colleagues expressed their support for the accusers, highlighting the importance of a respectful workplace. Franklin later stated, "I've been yelled at, berated, belittled," indicating he felt victimized by the fallout. Despite his attempts to legally challenge the allegations, the damage was done. The controversy not only ended his involvement with Fuller House, but also cast a long shadow over his career, as he struggled to regain his standing in Hollywood while addressing the claims that had reshaped his legacy. Number 20. Hulk Hogan. In July 2015, wrestling legend Hulk Hogan experienced a severe backlash when a recording was leaked in which he used racial slurs. This event led to WWE terminating his contract, a decision that surprised fans and colleagues. The audio, allegedly recorded between 2006 and 2007, included Hogan making highly offensive remarks about race, especially concerning his daughter's romantic interests. He said, I'd rather if she was going to her, I'd rather have her marry an 8-foot-tall worth $100 million. WWE's immediate response was decisive and strict. The organization issued a statement highlighting its dedication to diversity and promptly removed Hogan from its Hall of Fame and merchandise lines. Hogan's reputation, once associated with wrestling heroism, was severely damaged. Following the incident, Hogan offered a public apology on Good Morning America, stating, "I'm not a racist. I'm embarrassed by it." He explained that he had grown up in an environment where such language was common, but recognized that this did not justify his actions. The media and public response was divided. While some fans expressed disappointment, others demanded accountability. Although he was reinstated into WWE in 2018, the damage to his career and legacy was significant. Hogan's experience became a cautionary tale about the repercussions of racism and the challenge of seeking redemption in the public eye. Hey Iconic Inside fam, we've just wrapped up some tough stories of fame and fallout. Remember, our words and actions pack a punch, and it's crucial to learn from our mistakes. Now, over to you. Do you reckon these celebs should get another shot at the limelight? Share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe to stay tuned, and click that notification bell. Let's keep this conversation rolling. Top 20 celebrities who tried to warn us about Ellen DeGeneres.
I'm really scared that something is...
No, nothing more is going to happen.
You won't believe what these 20 celebrities had to say about Ellen DeGeneres. From shocking revelations to jaw-dropping moments, get ready to have your perception of America's sweetheart turned upside down. But fair warning, these stories might just change the way you see her forever. Mariah Carey. During a critical incident that hinted at the disintegration of Ellen DeGeneres' image, Mariah Carey was put in an awkward position during her 2008 visit to the Ellen DeGeneres show. DeGeneres, recognized for her humorous and sometimes irreverent style, pressed Carey to verify or refute pregnancy speculations about her then-spouse Nick Cannon. The mood became strained as Ellen pushed them to drink champagne in honor of Carey's supposed non-pregnancy, even though Carey showed unease. "I can't believe you did this to me, Ellen," Carey said, indicating the pressure she felt from her peer. At that time, Carey was pregnant but was reluctant to disclose this information due to a prior miscarriage. Shortly after the episode aired, she experienced another miscarriage, which left her dealing with the emotional consequences of being publicly exposed before she was prepared. In retrospect, Carey shared, "I really have had a hard time grappling with the aftermath," expressing a desire for more understanding from Ellen during their encounter. This event led to viewers criticizing Ellen's behavior as inconsiderate and malicious, representing an early case where her actions were scrutinized. It illustrated a pattern of DeGeneres, making jokes that crossed the line, showing a significant disparity between her public persona as a benevolent individual and her behavior away from the cameras. As Carey pointed out, there is an empathy that can be applied to those moments that I would have liked to have been implemented. This moment not only showcased Carey's poise under strain, but also functioned as an early indicator of the less favorable elements of Ellen's celebrity character. Dakota Johnson. In 2019, a public dispute between Dakota Johnson and Ellen DeGeneres hinted at the talk show host's impending reputational decline. The disagreement began when Johnson was a guest on DeGeneres' show, and the host humorously claimed she hadn't been invited to the actress's 30th birthday celebration. Johnson promptly refuted this, stating, "Actually, no. That's not the truth, Ellen. You were invited." Johnson detailed that in the previous year, DeGeneres had criticized her for not being invited to an event, despite Johnson being unaware of DeGeneres' interest in attending. When DeGeneres feigned ignorance, Johnson suggested, "Ask everybody," alluding to her production team. "But I did invite you and you didn't come," Johnson continued. Following a tense exchange, DeGeneres finally admitted, "I think I do remember I was invited, thank you." However, the damage had been done. DeGeneres' producer confirmed Johnson's account of events, casting doubt on the host's honesty and revealing a possible tendency for passive-aggressive behavior. The uncomfortable interaction quickly spread online, fueling increasing doubts about DeGeneres' benevolent public image. As one fan tweeted, "Dakota really clowned Ellen at her own show." Many attributed Johnson with precipitating the end of DeGeneres' career, with this incident marking a cultural reset that anticipated the host's eventual fall from grace due to accusations of fostering a toxic work environment. Reflecting on the situation, Johnson remarked, "I didn't even know you liked me." Her cautionary words about DeGeneres' true character resonated widely. Mark Ruffalo. A significant event in Hollywood occurred when Mark Ruffalo openly reprimanded Ellen DeGeneres for her closeness with former President George W. Bush, sparking a heated discussion on the essence of benevolence and political responsibility. The dispute began after a photo of DeGeneres and Bush enjoying an NFL game together went viral, leading to public outrage due to Bush's administration's track record of anti-LGBT policies and contentious military operations. Ruffalo, recognized for his outspoken advocacy, used Twitter to voice his disapproval, saying, "Until George W. Bush is brought to justice for the crimes of the Iraq War, we can't even begin to talk about kindness." His remarks underscored the glaring inconsistency between DeGeneres' advocacy for universal kindness and her connection with someone many consider a war criminal. This episode brought attention to the broader conversation about the consequences of celebrity friendships with controversial individuals, questioning whether personal relationships can be detached from one's public position on significant matters. DeGeneres justified her friendship by arguing that kindness should not be confined by political beliefs. "When I say be kind to one another, I don't mean only the people that think the same way that you do." However, Ruffalo's critique found support among those who believe such relationships could legitimize detrimental ideologies. This conflict not only exposed the intricacies of celebrity connections, but also incited conversations about whether personal relationships can eclipse public responsibility in today's polarized political environment. Kelly Ripa. The dynamics between Kelly Ripa and Ellen DeGeneres have been marked by strain, especially in the wake of Michael Strahan's contentious departure from Live with Kelly and Michael. Ellen's public endorsement of Strahan post-exit by extending an invitation to him on her show was felt by Ripa as a deep-seated sense of treachery. This move was viewed as Ellen siding with Strahan in a scenario that had already inflicted significant emotional turmoil on Ripa, prompting her to characterize it as a form of mockery that intensified an already challenging period in her professional life. Ripa's disapproval transcended personal sentiments. It shed light on broader queries concerning Ellen's public identity. Despite being recognized for promoting a message of benevolence, Ellen's behavior appeared to clash with this perception, hinting that she might revel in the drama and disputes inherent in celebrity circles. This episode spurred conjecture that Ellen might prioritize the entertainment quotient over authentic camaraderie with her colleagues, casting doubt on her genuine nature. In an open-hearted instant, Ripa stated, "People deserve respect," underscoring the significance of fidelity and honesty in relationships. This dispute not only illuminated the intricate interplay of celebrity alliances but also added depth to the discourse surrounding Ellen. It intimated that beneath her amiable facade lay an inclination towards discord that could potentially compromise her meticulously constructed public persona. As the repercussions continued to evolve, it became progressively evident that the rapport between Ripa and DeGeneres was not just a bond of friendship, but a multifaceted interaction of occupational competition and individual defection. Kathy Griffin.
I've been very open about what I call my dental work.
The contentious relationship between Kathy Griffin and Ellen DeGeneres has been characterized by a series of public disputes and allegations, illustrating the ruthless side of Hollywood. Their feud first gained public attention when Griffin alleged that DeGeneres had her evicted from a backstage dressing room at the Emmy Awards, an act she claimed was indicative of Ellen's hidden unkindness that is often whispered about in the industry. In her book, Kathy Griffin's Celebrity Run-Ins, she wrote, I'm almost positive a certain beloved daytime talk show host once had me kicked out. This person has a mean streak that all of Hollywood knows about. Griffin's claims were further supported by her experiences on The Ellen DeGeneres Show, where she felt diminished during a segment that portrayed her negatively. Reacting to Ellen's demeaning remarks about her, Griffin said, "You've been mean to me, it's my experience." This interaction underscored the stark contrast between Ellen's public image as an advocate for kindness and the less pleasant realities that occur off-camera. Ellen has consistently refuted Griffin's accusations, often downplaying their interactions, which only serve to heighten public curiosity about their conflict. This ongoing narrative not only reflects their personal disagreements, but also highlights the competitive and frequently toxic atmosphere within Hollywood, where there can be a significant gap between on-screen charisma and off-screen conduct. The differing accounts surrounding their feud act as a cautionary tale about the subjectivity of personal experiences in an industry that relies heavily on perception. Who do you believe in, the Kathy Griffin and Ellen DeGeneres feud? Comment with Team Kathy or Team Ellen. Caitlyn Jenner. In 2015, Caitlyn Jenner, a former Olympic athlete and reality television personality, made an appearance on Ellen DeGeneres' talk show to address her changing views on same-sex marriage. The conversation took a contentious turn, with Jenner feeling that her opinions were inaccurately represented by DeGeneres. Jenner asserted that she and DeGeneres had a prior understanding to discuss her evolving stance on marriage equality, which had become increasingly supportive. However, DeGeneres was accused of ignoring this agreement and instead depicted Jenner as someone who did not support the LGBTQ+ community. Jenner recounted the exchange, stating, "I said, I'm for gay marriage." She said, "You're not for gay marriage." And I said, "No, I'm for gay marriage." She said, "No, you're not." And I said, "Ellen, I don't know what to tell you, but I'm for gay marriage." This event led to allegations that DeGeneres manipulates her platform to advance her personal beliefs, bringing into question her dedication to accurately and fairly representing her guests. It also sparked discussions about whether DeGeneres might favor creating sensational content over fostering genuine conversations, further fueling doubts about her sincerity and dedication to being an ally. The incident underscored the potential for misinterpretation and distortion in celebrity interviews, where power imbalances and the pursuit of attention can result in miscommunications and misrepresentations. As Jenner later noted, "I've never been contacted by her or anyone from her show." Following the interview controversy, DeGeneres spoke with Howard Stern about the situation, admitting that Jenner's views had been confusing to her. However, the damage had already been done, with this incident serving as a lesson on the significance of clear communication, mutual respect, and a commitment to authenticity in celebrity interviews. Joan Rivers. Joan Rivers, a pioneer in the field of comedy, had a tumultuous relationship with her fellow comedian Ellen DeGeneres, characterized by tension and perceived slights. Rivers reportedly felt marginalized by Ellen throughout her career, a feeling that was shared by Kathy Griffin, who stated that Ellen considered Joan as tasteless and lacking in humor. This animosity reached a head after Rivers' passing in 2014, when Ellen was said to have declined to take part in a commemoration for her, reinforcing the idea of Ellen as dismissive towards other female comedians. Griffin described a significant conversation with Ellen, encouraging her to move past personal differences and pay homage to Joan's legacy. "I think you need to let go of your hatred for Joan Rivers. Just do a King tribute, be cool," Griffin pressed. Ellen's reply indicated a clear divergence in comedic sensibilities, saying, "There's a difference between mean and funny," which suggested that she thought Rivers' approach was beneath her own. This scenario not only underscored the competitive spirit of the comedy industry, particularly for women, but also raised concerns about Ellen's readiness to recognize the contributions of those who came before her. Critics started to see Ellen as someone who distanced herself from individuals she deemed less accomplished or pertinent. The alleged disregard for Joan Rivers highlighted an unsettling facet of comedy culture, the battle for acknowledgement among women in an industry dominated by men. In the end, Joan Rivers endeavored to caution us about the darker facets of celebrity interactions and the costs of success in show business. Nikki Tutorials. In January 2020, renowned beauty YouTuber Nikki Tutorials, whose real name is Nikki DeYaga, made an appearance on Ellen DeGeneres' show following her emotional coming out as transgender. However, what was meant to be a celebratory occasion quickly became disheartening, as DeYaga's behind-the-scenes experience exposed a less flattering side of Ellen. "Maybe I'm being naive, but I expected them to welcome me with confetti. Welcome to the Ellen DeGeneres show. But instead, "I got greeted by an angry intern who was a bit overworked," DeGeneres shared in an interview with the Dutch magazine and See. This unwelcoming start set the stage for her entire visit, with Ellen not acknowledging DeGeneres until it was time to go on air. The lack of respect continued when DeGeneres was informed that she could not use the restroom closest to her dressing room, as it was reserved for the Jonas brothers. This seemingly minor insult was particularly hurtful, given that DeGeneres' YouTube videos consistently garnered more views than those of the Jonas brothers. Nikki's recounting of her experience added to the growing sentiment that Ellen can be dismissive and disrespectful towards her guests, suggesting that her friendly on-screen persona may be a sham. Her story resonated widely, highlighting preferential treatment and a lack of common courtesy off-camera. This incident became part of a larger pattern of allegations against Ellen for alleged hypocrisy and poor treatment of individuals. DeGeneres' account reinforced the perception of Ellen's show as a potentially toxic and inhospitable environment for some guests. As Ellen remained silent on the matter, DeGeneres' cautionary tale reverberated throughout the entertainment industry, hinting at the controversies that would soon surround the once-admired host. Susan Sarandon. A significant confrontation of celebrity viewpoints unfolded when Susan Sarandon openly criticized Ellen DeGeneres for justifying her friendship with former President George W. Bush. The dispute began after a photo of DeGeneres and Bush at a Dallas Cowboys game sparked outrage due to Bush's contentious presidency, especially concerning LGBTQ rights and the Iraq War. DeGeneres defended her position by saying, "I'm friends with a lot of people who don't share the same beliefs that I have," highlighting her advocacy for kindness. However, Sarandon offered a strong rebuttal to this stance. She tweeted a quote from Out magazine that expressed her disapproval. But missing the point entirely, DeGeneres framed the issue as simply a matter of her hanging out with someone with different opinions, not a man repeatedly accused of being a war criminal. This remark emphasized the intricacy of maintaining friendships with individuals whose actions might conflict with one's principles. Sarandon's critique brought to light an essential debate on responsibility and implication within celebrity culture. By challenging the idea that personal relationships can be detached from political views, she questioned whether DeGeneres' Be Kind philosophy acts as an indiscriminate validation of detrimental connections. This event not only incited conversations about the duties of public figures, but also demonstrated that celebrities can no longer avoid examination when their conduct clashes with their proclaimed convictions. In an age where social duty is crucial, Sarandon's message struck a chord, reminding us that kindness should never compromise responsibility. Kevin T. Porter. In March 2020, comedian Kevin T. Porter set off a controversy by publicly pledging to donate $2 for every account of Ellen DeGeneres' purported unkind behavior. His tweet, which labeled her as notoriously one of the meanest people alive, rapidly gained traction, amassing nearly 2,000 responses that described adverse interactions with the popular talk show host. This endeavor not only benefited the Los Angeles Regional Food Bank, but also triggered a cascade of disclosures that presented a dramatically different image of DeGeneres than her public facade of benevolence and largesse. Porter's campaign offered a space for individuals who felt wronged by DeGeneres to voice their grievances. Narratives included her instructing staff to chew gum before conversing with her, to allegations of her being overly critical towards employees over minor issues like damaged nail polish. As these stories accumulated, they indicated a substantial change in public opinion, uncovering a more somber aspect of the celebrity who had become synonymous with kindness. A particularly striking comment from Porter reflected the general mood. It's now hard to tell which stories are real or not. However, the sheer number of accounts reinforced the notion that Ellen's off-camera persona diverged significantly from her on-screen presence. This burgeoning movement to hold her accountable for alleged misdeeds eventually fed into the controversies plaguing The Ellen DeGeneres Show, leading to its downturn and ultimate conclusion after 19 seasons. Porter's actions empowered those who had felt unheard, underscoring the intricacies of celebrity status and the often concealed truths behind stardom. On a scale of 0-5, how much do you think Kevin T. Porter's campaign affected the public's perception of Ellen DeGeneres? Comment with a number. Brad Garrett. Brad Garrett, recognized for his role in Everybody Loves Raymond, became a prominent detractor of Ellen DeGeneres as reports of a hostile work environment on The Ellen DeGeneres Show surfaced. In an open tweet, he declared that Ellen's horrible behavior was common knowledge, implying widespread awareness within the industry of her alleged mistreatment of others. This disclosure coincided with numerous former staff members sharing their adverse experiences on the show, citing occurrences of fear, intimidation, and racial prejudice. Garrett's remarks were not singular. They resonated with other celebrities' views, including Lea Thompson, who corroborated his statements with a succinct, true story. These exchanges depicted a distressing backdrop on set, markedly at odds with Ellen's public image as an advocate for compassion and optimism. Following these accusations, DeGeneres extended an apology to her team, expressing regret over the described workplace culture and pledging to tackle the problems. However, this apology was eclipsed by additional accounts of misconduct involving key producers on her show, encompassing allegations of sexual harassment. Garrett's admonition regarding DeGeneres underscored the reality that the veneer of celebrity can frequently conceal more profound concerns. As he remarked, "Sorry, but it comes from the top at The Ellen Show," underscoring the imperative for responsibility in a setting that should encourage dignity and solidarity rather than apprehension and antagonism. Lea Thompson. Lea Thompson's significant caution about Ellen DeGeneres surfaced during a wave of accusations concerning the talk show host's conduct towards her staff. Renowned for her role in Back to the Future, Thompson joined the increasing number of detractors after actor Brad Garrett publicly reprimanded DeGeneres for creating a poisonous work atmosphere. Garrett's tweet, in which he claimed to know more than one who were treated horribly by her, found an echo in Thompson, who responded succinctly, "True story. It is." This dialogue brought to light a concerning narrative that had been simmering for years. Accounts from ex-employees depicted a workplace rife with fear, where subtle slights and bullying were commonplace. The accusations included incidents of staff being chastised for taking leave during personal crises and an environment where disagreement was not accepted. Thompson's validation of Garrett's allegations underscores a wider perception within Hollywood that Ellen's kind image might conceal a more pernicious truth. The actress's agreement with Garrett's claims implies that these experiences are not singular but part of a widespread problem within the show's culture. Following these disclosures, DeGeneres offered an apology to her team, recognizing that changes had occurred over time and expressing regret over the work environment. As the repercussions persist, Thompson's comments stand as a stark reminder of the intricacies behind celebrity images and the significance of responsibility in the entertainment industry. Sarah Paulson. Sarah Paulson, celebrated for her performances in American Horror Story, has been a regular visitor on the Ellen DeGeneres show. However, her encounters on the show have often been far from enjoyable, prompting her to voice disapproval of Ellen's famous pranks and the overall ambiance of the show. In 2017, Paulson became the target of one of Ellen's renowned Halloween frights when she was dispatched to a haunted house with the show's executive producer, Andy Lassner. The ordeal left Paulson noticeably distressed, uttering expletives and even seeking shelter on the floor out of terror. Following the incident, Paulson openly discussed her displeasure with the prank, describing it as horrible and clarifying, "I don't like being scared, I don't find it funny." The subsequent year saw Paulson once again at the mercy of Ellen's playful yet startling tactics. During a visit to promote a new project, the actress found herself cornered in a box on stage after being subjected to one of Ellen's signature surprise scares. This episode further solidified Paulson's increasing discomfort with the show's tricks as she retreated into the very box that had been employed to instill fear. In a candid interview, Paulson shared her reservations about the environment on the Ellen DeGeneres show, remarking, "The environment on that set is not always the most comfortable." Her comments stand in stark contrast to the program's image as a cheerful and inviting space for celebrity guests. Paulson's experiences and her openness in challenging Ellen's pranks and the show's culture hint at underlying issues that may not be immediately apparent. Her subtle admonitions act as a cautionary note that even the most seemingly flawless exteriors can mask deeper concerns. Emily Ratajkowski. In January 2023, model and actress Emily Ratajkowski publicly criticized Ellen DeGeneres regarding a recirculated 2012 interview with Taylor Swift, labeling it as "so f***ed up." The awkward interaction, where DeGeneres persistently questioned Swift about her romantic relationships, underscored a recurring conduct that has been increasingly scrutinized. Ratajkowski, who recently identified as a Swiftie, was particularly struck by Swift's evident discomfort during the interview. "She is literally pleading with her to stop," Ratajkowski remarked on a viral TikTok video that compared the 2012 interview with a more recent discussion where Swift addressed the sexism and misogyny she encountered in her early career. The model further expanded on her response, pointing out that Swift's experience exemplifies a woman who has faced such overt misogyny and sexism. Ratajkowski's critique arrives amidst escalating doubts about DeGeneres' reputation as a benevolent figure, especially after accusations of a toxic work environment on her show surfaced in 2020. As Ratajkowski stated, "I think the lens that I would have viewed that interview from 10 years ago versus now has evolved so much." Her readiness to challenge DeGeneres indicates a potential shift in public opinion against the talk show host's meticulously crafted image. With an increasing number of individuals scrutinizing her actions, it appears that Ratajkowski might have been trying to caution us about Ellen DeGeneres all along. Tony Okunbowa. In 2020, Tony Okunbowa, the former DJ of the Ellen DeGeneres show, courageously spoke out about the toxic work environment that existed behind the scenes of the popular daytime show. His comments were in response to a surge of allegations from ex-staff members who painted a picture of a workplace filled with animosity and prejudice. Recalling his time on the show, Okunbowa said, "While I am thankful for the opportunity it provided, I did experience and sense the toxicity of the environment and showed support for his fellow workers in their pursuit of a more positive work environment." Okunbowa's time with the show lasted from 2003 to 2013, during which he was privy to the stark contrast between Ellen's public image as a kind individual and the unsettling atmosphere that prevailed off-camera. The criticism against DeGeneres grew more intense in July 2020, when BuzzFeed published accounts detailing numerous instances of mistreatment, leading Okunbowa to offer his viewpoint. He sought to expose a culture that conflicted with Ellen's advocacy for being kind to one another. The scrutiny around DeGeneres encompassed incidents such as her uncomfortable interview with Mariah Carey, where she pressed the singer about her pregnancy status, visibly discomforting her. Moreover, Ellen's friendship with George W. Bush caused an uproar among fans who felt deceived by her connection to someone known for being against LGBTQ+ rights. As Okunbowa voiced his concerns, he underscored a pivotal moment in Hollywood where the veneer of celebrity benevolence was confronted by harsh truths, advocating for a re-evaluation within the entertainment industry. Love this video? Show some love with a like and a subscribe. Hate it? A like would still be awesome, and your feedback in the comments will help me improve. Ryan Phillip. A moment that epitomized the ongoing examination of Ellen DeGeneres occurred when Ryan Phillip used social media to voice his disapproval. While out for a run, he took a selfie in front of a promotional poster for the Ellen DeGeneres show and captioned it with a sarcastic play on her famous catchphrase, "And remember to be kind, wait." This seemingly simple post struck a chord, especially considering the context of accusations against DeGeneres about fostering a hostile work environment, which had been recently exposed through various accounts from ex-staff members. Philippe's comment was more than just a flippant remark. It mirrored a wider sentiment within Hollywood. The backlash against DeGeneres grew after BuzzFeed News published allegations of mistreatment and intimidation on her show, leading to an internal probe by Warner Media that ended in the termination of several high-ranking producers. Although Philippe hadn't been on her show since 2011, his ex-wife, Reese Witherspoon, had maintained a close relationship with DeGeneres, adding another layer to the story. This event highlighted the conflict between DeGeneres' public image as an advocate for kindness and the more sinister claims that contradicted this perception. As Philippe's quote indicates, the irony of her "Be Kind" slogan became symbolic of the disillusionment experienced by many. In an era where celebrity appearances often conceal underlying issues, Philippe's observation served as a stark reminder of the intricacies behind public figures and their meticulously crafted personas. Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber's interactions with Ellen DeGeneres have been characterized by several awkward encounters that eventually prompted him to voice his apprehensions about her conduct. During his visits to the Ellen DeGeneres show, especially in 2015, Bieber was subjected to probing inquiries that visibly made him uncomfortable. DeGeneres exhibited a blurred image of him in the nude, demanding an account, which underscored her inclination to explore personal subjects he appeared hesitant to address. This episode contributed to an escalating view of her as intrusive and insensitive to her guests' limits. Bieber's unease was evident, and he later alluded to the wider ramifications of such engagements. In an open moment, he stated, "I just want to be treated like a human being," highlighting the gap between Ellen's public image and the reality off-camera. Their exchanges were often portrayed as light-hearted, yet they concealed a more profound discomfort that Bieber and other celebrities started to acknowledge. Following accusations about Ellen's toxic work environment, including claims of unkind behavior from past employees and visitors, Bieber's cautions gained new relevance. His experiences mirrored a worrisome pattern among numerous celebrities who felt coerced under Ellen's seemingly amiable exterior. As the repercussions from her show continued to emerge, it became evident that Bieber's efforts to draw attention were not just personal complaints but part of a broader discourse on responsibility in Hollywood. Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs and Ellen DeGeneres had a multifaceted relationship that fluctuated between mutual respect and contentious moments, hinting at underlying strains. A prominent event unfolded when DeGeneres, unable to read a text on her iPhone without her glasses, decided to contact Jobs directly. Rather than seeking a new pair of glasses, she suggested to Jobs that he consider enlarging the font size on the iPhone, an idea that demonstrated both her sense of entitlement and her conviction in the sway of celebrity influence. The iPhone should have a bigger font, she asserted, highlighting her direct line to one of technology's most prominent figures. This interaction masks the more turbulent aspects of DeGeneres' professional life. Despite being known for promoting kindness, allegations of a hostile work environment on the Ellen DeGeneres show emerged in 2020, leading to public outcry and a reassessment of her public persona. Ex-staff members painted a picture of a workplace filled with intimidation and fear, which was at odds with her image as a benevolent figure. Following these disclosures, several celebrities, including those who had previously supported her, began to doubt her sincerity. As DeGeneres grappled with this newfound skepticism, she addressed her career's ups and downs during her comedy tour, humorously stating, "I got kicked out of show business," revealing the emotional impact it had on her. The contrast between her interactions with Jobs and the ensuing controversy serves as a stark reminder of how celebrity status can both exalt and alienate those in the public spotlight. Howard Stern. Howard Stern's relationship with Ellen DeGeneres has seen significant changes over time, characterized by both harsh critique and surprising solidarity. In a significant moment on his SiriusXM show, Stern offered a bold opinion about DeGeneres during her challenging period in 2020. In the midst of accusations of a hostile work environment on the Ellen DeGeneres show, he recommended, "If I were in Ellen's shoes, I'd change my whole image. I'd go on the air and be a son of a b***." This counsel, though startling, reflected his view that DeGeneres should confront her emerging reputation head-on, rather than evade it. Their past is filled with conflict. Stern has been vocal in his disapproval, referring to DeGeneres as a tyrant ogre and criticizing her comedic approach and public image. However, their dynamic shifted as they started to reconcile differences, highlighted by touching instances such as Stern's appearance on her show for his wedding vow renewal in 2019. Despite their fluctuating relationship, Stern's recent remarks indicate a genuine concern for DeGeneres during her public trials. His suggestion to fully embrace controversy instead of withdrawing into silence acts as both a caution and an illustration of the evolving landscape of celebrity culture. As the repercussions from her show persist, Stern's perspective might echo as an appeal for genuineness in an industry often marred by pretense. Sofia Vergara. Sofia Vergara's rapport with Ellen DeGeneres has been a multifaceted mix of humor, friendship, and subtle strain. Their dialogues on the Ellen DeGeneres show often featured a teasing rapport, notably during a 2015 episode where they chatted about a CoverGirl advertisement. In this interaction, DeGeneres teased Vergara about her English pronunciation difficulties, jesting that the most challenging lines were assigned to her due to her accent. While Vergara reciprocated the jest, stating she was always in on the joke, the re-emergence of these clips amidst accusations against DeGeneres stirred debate and prompted some audience members to scrutinize the essence of their relationship. As allegations of a poisonous work environment on the Ellen DeGeneres show surfaced, Vergara felt the need to support her friend. She tweeted, "Two comedians having fun with each other to entertain. I was never a victim, guys. I was always in on the joke." However, this declaration did little to dispel the backlash. Numerous individuals believed that DeGeneres' humor ventured into ridicule, especially concerning Vergara's accent, a delicate subject for many within the Latino community. The timing of Vergara's defense aligned with considerable turmoil on the show, including the resignation of several key producers following an internal probe into workplace behavior. As the public processed these revelations, Vergara's remarks functioned as both a protective barrier for DeGeneres and an illustration of the intricacies inherent in their relationship, a fusion of friendship and performance that frequently obscured the boundaries between humor and offense. In reflecting on the stories of these top 20 celebrities and their experiences with Ellen DeGeneres, we're reminded that everyone's truth is subjective, and what appears on screen may not always reflect reality. It's a lesson in empathy and the importance of treating everyone with kindness, regardless of their public persona. Do you think Ellen should face consequences for her actions? Or is there room for redemption? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below, and if you want more insights into the lives of celebrities, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Iconic Inside, and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode.